May 5, 1945. Hitler has been dead for 6 days. Berlin has fallen. The war in Europe should be over. But in remote Castle Itter in the Austrian Alps, one of the strangest battles in history is about to begin. On one side, fanatical SS troops determined to execute elite French prisoners before surrender. On the other, an improvised group including 14 American soldiers, German Wehrmacht soldiers who have defected, and the French prisoners themselves, including 2 former French prime ministers. For one entire day, enemies become allies. Americans teach Germans how to use American weapons. Wehrmacht officers lead charges against their own SS troops. French prisoners, politicians, athletes, resistance fighters take up arms alongside their former captors. This is not fiction. This is the Battle of Castle Itter, the only documented confrontation of World War II where American and German forces fought side by side. A story so incredible it was forgotten for decades because no one believed it could be true. How did mortal enemies unite on the war's last day? Why did German soldiers risk their lives to protect French prisoners? And what happened when the war's strangest battle finally ended? If stories of unexpected humanity in war, improbable historical moments, and forgotten battles fascinate you, subscribe now. We reveal World War II's most extraordinary events. Hit the bell so you never miss when history gets truly surreal. Castle Itter, a 19th century fortress in the Austrian Alps, is no ordinary prison. Since 1943, the Nazis have used this remote location to hold their most valuable prisoners, figures too important to execute but too dangerous to release. Between April and May 1945, this group includes Édouard Daladier and Paul Reynaud, both former French prime ministers, General Maurice Gamelin, former commander of French forces, Michel Clemenceau, son of the famous French prime minister, and Wimbledon champion tennis player Jean Baratra. The prisoners live in relatively good conditions. They have individual rooms, decent meals, and even limited freedom in the castle gardens. But everyone knows what awaits them if the war ends badly. On April 30th, when news of Hitler's suicide reaches the castle, the atmosphere changes dramatically. SS Commander Sebastian Wimmer receives orders from Berlin. No prisoner must fall into enemy hands. Eliminate all. Wimmer hesitates. The war is clearly lost. Executing such famous prisoners now would only bring certain retribution. As he deliberates, an extraordinary development occurs. Wehrmacht Major Joseph Sepp Gangl defects with his men. Gangl, a professional soldier who never supported the Nazis, decides his final mission will be to save the prisoners. He contacts the local Austrian resistance, who in turn alert the nearest Americans. The 23rd Tank Battalion of the 12th Armored Division, stationed just 8 kilometers away. On the morning of May 4th, Gangl makes a bold move. He drives to the castle under a white flag and convinces Commander Wimmer to defect. Wimmer, seeing the logic, agrees and flees. The remaining SS guards follow his example or are disarmed. For a few hours, Castle Itter is free. But freedom will be brief. At dawn on May 5th, survivors of the 17th SS Panzer Grenadier Division begin arriving. They are fanatical Nazis who refuse to surrender, determined to make a last stand. They know about the elite prisoners in the castle and decide to capture them as bargaining chips or execute them as final revenge. Inside the castle, the situation is desperate. Gangl has only 10 Wehrmacht soldiers and some light weapons. The French prisoners, elderly politicians, and a tennis star are not combatants. That's when American Lieutenant John C. Jack Lee, Jr. arrives with 14 soldiers and a single Sherman tank. Lee, a 24-year-old tank commander from Texas, assesses the situation quickly. His 14 men against possibly 200 SS. The math is simple. They don't stand a chance. Then Gangl makes a proposal that enters history. My men will fight with yours. Lee, initially skeptical, agrees. The German soldiers are disarmed and redistributed among the Americans. Weapons are shared. German uniforms are marked with white strips to avoid confusion with the SS. In a surreal scene, American soldiers teach basic German command phrases, while former Wehrmacht soldiers learn to operate M1 Garand rifles. The French prisoners, led by former Prime Minister Renaud, insist on helping. Jean Barotre, the tennis player, volunteers as a runner to fetch reinforcements. General Gamelin, despite being 70 years old, takes charge of defending one wing of the castle. At 11 a.m., the first SS attacks begin. Lee's Sherman tank, nicknamed Besotten Jenny, positions itself at the main gate. American and German soldiers alternate firing positions. A German sergeant teaches the Americans how to identify different SS units by their uniforms. The strangest battle of World War II has begun, and for a few hours, in an Austrian castle, the line between ally and enemy disappears completely. By 2 p.m., the situation becomes critical. Ammunition is running low. The Sherman tank is low on fuel. The SS has brought an 88mm anti-tank gun and begins shelling the main gate. That's when Jean Barotre, the champion tennis player, makes his move. He volunteers to jump the castle wall and run to American lines. Lee reluctantly agrees. Barotre, wearing a white sweater over his suit, scales the 4-meter wall and disappears into the forest. He runs 8 kilometers through SS-controlled territory, using his athletic skills to avoid patrols. 2 hours later, he collides with an American patrol and delivers Lee's message: "We need reinforcements now." Meanwhile, inside the castle, the defenders create a symbol of their improvised alliance. Using a piece of canvas, they sew together a flag combining American stars and stripes with French colors. The improvised flag is hoisted over the castle tower, a sign that enemies now fight as brothers. At 4:30 p.m., the miracle happens. Company B of the 142nd Infantry Regiment arrives with over 100 men. The American reinforcements are perplexed to see German soldiers fighting alongside their countrymen, but quickly integrate into the defense. Together, they launch a counterattack that forces the SS to retreat. When the battle ends at dusk, the tally is extraordinary. Only one defender died, German Major Joseph Gangl, killed by an SS sniper while rescuing former French Prime Minister Paul Reynaud. All prisoners are safe. The surviving SS flee into the mountains. The next day, May 6th, the French prisoners are officially liberated. In an emotional scene, the former prime ministers embrace the German soldiers who protected them. American and German soldiers share their last rations. For 24 hours, in a castle in the Alps, the war truly ended, not by decree, but by the human choice of enemies becoming protectors. Final CTA, 8:30 to 8:45. Did this story change how you see humanity in war? Hit like if this unlikely alliance moved you. Share to spread this forgotten story. Comment which other unbelievable war moment we should explore next.